Hello, everybody, and welcome back. How we doing? We're doing our third installment of our Gold Road series, getting all of our classes up to date with this new style that we've developed. We are back again, taking a peek of using that model of our Frostagon and applying it to each one of our classes in here. Today's installment is the Sorc. So we had Frostagon that was, had things revolving around, Frost with the Warden. Then we had last week's was with the DK with Fire. And now we are going with Lightning with the Sorc because that is their specialty within that. So I really like this fashion. Look at this. Look how gorgeous this all is. I did this fashion this week and I was like, you know what? This guy looks like he's kind of insulated, even though he's wearing like chainmail, because the mount that I use is it's the Lightning Guar. So I feel like he's kind of insulated himself so he can sit on his mount and not get shocked. So that was kind of my thing with there. So a little bit of fashion, which I think does increase DPS. I don't know if it's factual or not, but I think it is. So anyway, let's get on to the build. Okay, first things first, what are we wearing now? All right, we are actually wearing a Slimecraw again with the Oakensoul ring. That's our pairing. All right, we like that. It's our Oakensoul ring with our Bloodthirsty, our medium Forehead and Slimecraw. That's the pairing of those two. And then the two sets that we are wearing a Storm Cursed Robe. All right, gives a little Magicka, spell damage, penetration. Big thing with Storm Cursed is that when you deal shock damage, you have a 50% chance to deal shock damage to the enemy and up to 2 other enemies within 5 meters. All right, this effect scales off the higher of your weapon and spell damage. So again, going into the theme of doing as much of shock damage as we can do because we have a proficiency with shock. Our shock abilities and stuff do more damage, through our passives and through our gear and everything else. And so we want to put stuff into that. So that's a really good one to get. That's all going to be in light. The other one that we are going to be using is the Netch's Touch. Now, you might not know about this one in here, but the Netch's Touch, really kind of basic. It just adds 400 weapon or spell damage, for us in our case, to all of my shock damage abilities. So, which we're going to have a bunch in there, and we'll point those out. So yeah. And put them in whatever order. Doesn't really matter, whatever happens, because both sets are light. I have the Netch Touch as my lightning staff, but it really doesn't, it doesn't matter. Is this guy actually going to come all over here and excuse me. Okay, I'll move. I'll move. I love. There's always something. It was the Frostagon one. Somebody came in where I thought nobody could come in to the instance I was in. And now I got NPCs walking all by me and everything. I tell you, I love my videos. So yeah. So there you go. So that's the gear that we're looking for this. So that's going to be good for us. Let's go over and look at. We're putting everything into Magicka like we do with our setup right now. Do I have my food on? I do have my food on. In here, we're getting like 4262 spell damage. That's going to go up with our abilities that we use. Spell crits in a nice place. Anything over 50 is really good. Within that, we get all of our bonuses, of course, from our Oakensoul. And we are using the Thief for our Mundus Stone with that. I might as well talk about our food and stuff. It's the same thing that we've been doing. I like the sugar skulls. If you can afford them. If not, use I guess I don't have it on this character, use Witch Mother's Potent Brew. That'll work just fine in there. And then the Tri-Restoration Potions, because we get a ton of them. There goes the guard. So yeah, so that's what I'm using for all of that. Let's look at the skills. Now these are going to look familiar to us because we've been using them on our last two builds. This is our format within this. So, but now instead of using our frost damage or our fire damage, we got shocking explosion. So shocking explosion, we are going to do shock damage to the enemies. We are going to have shock damage over time and set them off balance. We're still doing that whole off balance thing with there because it does a lot of power when we've got that, especially because we have it as our CP. So we have that going on. And that does count as a shock ability. So we will get that 400 spell damage because of our gear. We have our magical soul is back just as is. I love it. For all these characters, when we start off, it's the one we get kind of for free at the beginning when we do the scribing stuff. So we've got that with our magic damage over time. It applies our major breach. It's a very cheap source too because it's like only 2241 Magicka, so you can spam the heck out of it. It's great. And then we chose Lightning Flood. So create a storm near a nearby target location, dealing shock damage to enemies in the area for 1 second for 10 seconds. An ally standing in the nexus can activate it, so we're helping out our group. Damage to the enemies. So we have those two, and of course we've got our Revealing Flare, give us our major protection, 10%. And then here's our two new ones in here. We need some kind of heal, because remember, it's always the explosion, it's the magical soul, an AoE, that's for the class, and then a heal. And I was trying to think of what heal that I could use in here. You can see I don't use this one very much. And then a friend of mine, Zuna, was talking about, hey, this is actually a very good heal if you want to use it. And it does a debuff in here. So Vibrant Shroud. Call forth a danger shroud from the rooms to feeble foes in front of you. So you and your allies are healed for, and this is going to change, the number's going to change as I get it maxed out. So you heal, basically it's an area 18 by 6 meters in front of you, including yourself, that's being healed. And you receive minor vitality, increasing your health, your healing received, and damage shield strength by 6% for 10 seconds. Here's the other cool part of this. Enemies are afflicted with major maim. All right, major maim, reducing their damage by 10% for 10 seconds. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I love it. So we've got Breach in here, and we've got major maim. Oh my gosh, absolutely fantastic. So this is really kind of a balance of power and also some debuffing between having your major breach and major maim. That's like two of your the major, if I can say that major term again, of ways to debuff a target. So absolutely fantastic. And then you could have a lot of choices of what you wanted to do here, but I like to kind of keep on theme with some of these builds. And so we're using Summon Charge Atronach in here. Great one in here because it does AoE damage. So it does Chain Lightning Engine, granting nearby Major Berserk for 10 seconds, increasing their damage done by 10 seconds in there. Let's see, Lightning Storm, shock damage to enemies around it. Yeah. So really great one. And again, it counts as a shock ability. And so that's going to give us more spell damage. So it's going to increase the damage when we use it because of what we've got with our gear. So really fantastic. So I think you all are starting to see that formula that we have. Again, that we're using some type of explosion. We're using the magical soul. We're finding an AoE that's native to the class. We're finding a great source of healing. And like I said, this one was a great source of debuffing. We use that flare to give us just 10% major protection, which is nice because we're all in light gear on this guy, except for our headpiece, the Slimecraw, and then try to find something that makes sense for an ulti. And we've got that here. So really, really awesome. I really like it a lot, this setup. So yeah, so we've got that, and then we have, let's see, then we're going our CP. All right, because I already talked about the foods and stuffs in the Mundus. CP is exactly the same. It's going to be the same for all of our builds. So this is really kind of comfy. We're doing Wrathful Strikes. We're doing Fighting Finesse. We're doing Weapons Expert. Again, we're now having our Weapons Expert so that even after all the stuff that we have on our skill bar is being used, we still have a great heavy attack. And with the Lightning Staff, that heavy attack also does an AoE, not an AoE, it does like splash damage. So it's technically splash damage with that. And, like I said, we're using the Exploiter. We're going to get that right from our first skill of our explosion. And so we're going to be doing 10% more damage right out of the get-go. Our red stuff, siphoning spells. Yeah, same thing that we had, with our other stuff. So just a fantastic formula. That I've kind of discovered throughout, the Gold Road. I've really, I've looked at other builds and stuff, and I don't see anybody doing this. I don't know if it's because it's terrible or whatever, but I'm going through content, really well with it. I'm really liking it. How does the visual look on this too? I think it's got a great little. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah, and then you put down like the flood stuff in there. Oh my gosh, absolutely fantastic. You lay down your heal stuff. You get this little sparkly stuff when you've got that the healing going on you like that. And of course you have your big guy that comes out there. So very visually appealing. So a lot of fun with that. So I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it just kind of suits my playstyle. We're doing damage. We're doing a whole lot of dots. The dot stuff is great because, gosh, what was I doing? Wasn't with this character, it was with Fiery Gone. And I was going through one of the public dungeons, the new public dungeons. And it had a group boss in it. And I didn't know it was the group boss when I got to it because nobody else was around. And I was able to do it with a nice combination of doing damage, but also putting a bunch of dots on them so they were doing damage as I was kind of running away and getting, and dodge rolling and blocking and doing stuff. Because one of the things that's kind of tricky with certain classes, certain builds, is that if you're not doing something, if you're not actively either doing like a beam or doing an attack or a heavy or something like that, you're not doing damage to the target. The great thing about having a strong dot build as well as having, a good heavy attack build is that if they're dotted up with a few different things, you can run around and your damage, is going to be continuous and they're going to go, down, and die. So yeah, so I've always liked that aspect of it because I'm never so frustrated or more frustrated that if I have I've got 1% left on either a mob or a boss or something like that, and there's no dot on it. I got to actually, survive or move around or get through a mechanic or something to try to do one more bit of damage to get them done. If I've got dots on them, I know it's going to be, they're getting worked on as I'm moving around. So I'm really liking this format. You guys, thank you so much for the comments and everything and support with it. You guys have too, from what I've been seeing. People have been making these builds and having a lot of fun with them. So, let's see. Is there anything else that I'm missing? Let me look at my list really quick. We talked about the gear. We talked about the CP. We talked about our attributes on the Magicka, our Thief Mundus, our food, our potions, the Tri-Stat, the skills. Now, I'm going to have this all down below, so if you want to check it out and have that as a resource, you're going to have it. Take all the passives within it. Probably the most one that kind of affects the slightly different play style of this is the Ancient Knowledge. Lightning Staff increase your damage done with direct damage and channeled effects by 12%. One of the great things here, even though maybe a Inferno Staff might give you a little bit more with having the damage over time and status effects, the great thing about having the Lightning Staff in there is that the heavy attack is considered a channeled. So you're channeling through the staff and doing damage And so your damage is doing more by that. Now, could you use Inferno Staff? Yeah, sure. Could you use also, a different ulti, a different heal? Yeah, because remember, part and parcel with this is that I like making, these kind of fun and different builds, but you can also, they're very flexible. With whatever you could put into it. So this kind of inspires you with something. It's like, oh, can I use this? Oh, it's like I found some gear that accentuates this, and I think it would do a little bit better for the way I play. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Any builds that you find on any website are all about creating a foundation for you to come up with your own ideas with this. So all of this, I know that works, so it's a good foundation, and then you can take this from here and go experiment, if you want to. And stuff. So yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy this Gold Road series that we're doing. These are the ones that are, each one kind of has a theme because each staff is different with that. My upcoming ones are going to be very interesting with this to see what I'm going to do with a Necromancer, especially. What are my choices with a Nightblade? What are my choices with a Templar, which usually is, I don't play a Templar very much, but I've been playing this one. I like what we've come up with this. Still using that format, still using that formula, and seeing, what we're able to do to bring that, forth with this style and stuff. And I think next week's is going to be the Bardkinist. So my my Arcanist, which, here, I'll give you a little tease on this one, does not use any cruxes and does not beam. And you're like, what? How can it be an Arcanist? It doesn't. You're going to see. It's a lot of fun. Again, if you don't like the crux system, or if you don't like, beaming all the time, I got a build for you. It's just so much fun. So, all right, everybody, I got to go. I could chat to you all day long. But again, thank you all so much. I hope you're enjoying just the beauty of, the West Weald and everything that's been going on. I've been enjoying making, oh my gosh, here we go. There's our backdrop for everything. I've been really enjoying making all these new builds. It's the play style that I enjoy. I've been enjoying these, a dot build ever since back in the WoW days when Affliction Warlock. I always tell people, one of the most fun things I ever loved doing in PvP was seeing a very determined paladin, bearing down on me, about ready to use their charge, and I go ... and fear, and just let them go off into the distance, yelling in their computer. I can hear it from here, and then having them die to all my dots. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy the dot situation here. So a lot of fun, and very viable. I've been taking all these builds into trials, veteran trials. I've been taking it into IA. It's been performing well into Maelstrom arenas, Overland. I talked about the public dungeons, which that have some hard bosses and some mechanics in the Gold Road chapter, and so and it's been doing extremely well. Very survivable. Does a good amount of damage. It feels strong. It feels very capable, and so I've been enjoying that. So, all right, everybody. Thank you so much again. I'll let you go, and I'll see you next week in the next video, which I think is going to be the Arcanist. So, all right, everybody, you take care. Talk to you later. Oh, and make sure if you haven't subscribe, ding the bell, do the stuff, and leave me a comment down below how you're liking this series. Any comment really helps out the metrics for YouTube, for getting us out there and getting shown to more people. So, or even an emote really helps as well. So if you could do that for me, I'd really, really appreciate it. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the support. I love you. I'll see you in the next video.